So that's the change that I want to see in the world, is to let women be secure in their future, financially, so that they can go follow their passions.
Hey, welcome back to Women Creating Wealth, where we talk to nice, wealthy women. And today it's going to be awesome because Jo Anna Wright is with us. She is a real estate wealth maven, and she's created millions in real estate. And she helps women across the nation like us to do the same so that they can retire when they desire. I love that. Joanne, thanks for being with us today.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be on here. Thanks for having me.
So let's just like about the elephant in the room right now, because people are saying, oh, this is a terrible time to get involved in real estate investing, right? Because the interest rates are high and there's no inventory, at least in my area, there's no inventory. And we know that's not true. So what is your opinion when you hear those naysayers?
Oh, I love naysayers because just more property for me.
Love it.
But so what I have to say to them is, properties everywhere. I don't care what market you're in. Um, the point you're probably looking at is online and what's available through a realtor. And that's usually flying off the shelves, especially in hot markets. So I would agree. There's no properties available if that's the only way you're looking. So what I teach my clients to do is to find off-market properties and how to really help sellers. So what I find a lot out in the world is that, realtors, investors alike are not there really to help the seller. They're there to get a commission check or, create cash. And that's their only focus. And so I have a servant heart way of my business, the way of the world that I like to see it, with a servant heart. And with that, it's serving the seller in what they need. And I believe it was Jim Rohn, you help enough people get what they want, you get everything that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I've been leading my life, my company, and my clients, is in that way, and they get more deals done.
Yeah,
So
and that's certainly a way. Oh, sorry, what was that?
that's okay. I'm just saying. So there's plenty of properties. There's a lot of people that need help in real estate.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know I think that's a tenet, especially for people who are doing, well, anything really, but people who are doing wholesaling. I feel like that's really the attitude that you need to come in with, right? Like, how can I help you to get what you want? Because, I mean, what's your preferred style of real estate investing? Do you have a favorite?
So a favorite, I've done them all. So I think money lending is one of my favorites to do and to be a part of and help others to be a money lender as well.
Yeah.
And some people go, well, Joanna, I don't have tons of, cash laying around. I just lend. And I get it, but there's ways to leverage, and you don't even have to use your own money to be a money lender. So that's a whole nother box that we won't open in just a second. So that would be my favorite, but I think the real favorite is I get to choose. So it depends, again, because I'm leading with a servant heart for the seller, I get to choose what's best for me according to the seller's story.
Right.
So
So what's a recent scenario or a favorite scenario that you could kind of talk us through how you sat down with the seller? And well, first of all, how you maybe found that person? I mean, I don't want you to reveal all your secrets, of course, but if you have like a favorite story where you were really able to help that seller to move to wherever or transition into whatever type of situation was better for them, and that it also was great for you.
yeah, absolutely. So if you want to hear how motivated a seller can be, I'll give you this story. Uh,
Good.
and I found this particular seller networking online, didn't leave my house. Networking online, saying hello. Now, this was a 7-month process of connecting and hearing the story, and I guess waiting for her to be motivated enough to move forward in how I can serve her. So what I got was a lot of complaints. Her tenants, her houses, her was going on. I'm like, well, this is what you can do. So I offered service and help and support as much as I could. And here's the kicker, Christine. I got a call. I was in the middle of an event and I got a call. She left the most horrifying voicemail of how she just wanted to lay down and die. She couldn't handle
Oh,
it anymore.
oh,
And whew, it gives me chills to today, just hearing that
yeah,
message in my head going, oh my goodness, how awful she feels.
yeah,
And I go, listen, this is what I can do. And she said, let's do it. And so I created a scenario that worked specifically for her and created community around it. So she got a lot of support. She got rid of her houses. I took them over. No money out of my pocket, no cash out of my pocket. However, everybody got a win. It was a win-win-win for everybody. There was nobody taken advantage of, which I see a lot out there in the world. There was
yeah,
nobody feeling, you know, relief was the only feeling that was in the
yeah,
room. So that was good.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and those things happen when you're plugged into the right networks, right?
Yes.
One of
Yeah.
my a friend of mine got a phone call from a money lender who said, you know, hey, this guy can't make his payments anymore. Do you want to just take over his mortgage? And that's all he did, right? Like you say, no money out of his pocket. You already have a house full of tenants, and all he had to do was start making the payments. Like, this sounds easy. And people hear those stories and they think that doesn't really happen, but it really does if you put yourself in the pathway of those sorts of opportunities, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just closed on those in June. Like I'm in today's trenches. So
Yeah.
even if you're thinking, well, maybe years ago, because I've been doing this since 2000. Okay. I've got a few decades under my belt of doing a lot of different types of transactions. And that one's got to be the easiest. And it's got to be the most rewarding too, because I mean, I really did serve this woman to a point of I think now she has a better
Yeah.
lifestyle because her relief, is so huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's, it's funny because those are the kind of opportunities that I feel like are coming up more so now, right? It's not, you can't just go out and do a refi and for 3.5% and get yourself out of an unpleasant situation right now. You're like, let's see, if I need more money to come out of this house, it's going to cost me a lot, right? I mean, it's just the things have changed. So maybe and when you're looking at it from the right angle, right? I guess we can start to leave this whole, is this a terrible market scenario? But right, if it's terrible for one person, it doesn't mean it's terrible for everybody. And it could be a super opportunity for you.
Absolutely. And so my saying about, is it a good time to buy or a bad time? Today is always a good day to buy real estate.
Exactly.
It was at Warren Buffett. He said, buy real estate. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate, then wait. So holding property is where it's at.
Absolutely. But now there are people who's how do you keep from putting yourself into a situation where you're like, oh my God, I have to do something. I have to sell. I have to, refinance. I have to do something. How do you keep from getting yourself into that situation in the first place?
Education is key. It really is. Education and team.
Yeah.
And applied education and team.
Right.
Because most people will Google tube until the cows come home going, oh, and they never take any action.
Yeah.
And so that's what I move my clients into action. Um, and they see a different light when they have the experience, if you will, than if they were just Google tubing, because some have been doing it for 2, 5, even 20 years.
Yeah. That's
And
easy to do because this one
yeah,
says this thing and this one says the opposite, right? You can drive yourself nuts.
there's always something that, I don't care what it is, there's always somebody throwing rocks at it.
Oh God, yeah.
How good
Absolutely.
it is, how bad it is, your opinion doesn't matter. There's always somebody that throws rocks at it. So uh educate yourself in what is the right rock for you, right? If you will. But really just it's not a one size fits all industry. And that's where a
Right.
lot of people think, oh, maybe I should do wholesale because this guy made millions, or maybe I should do fix and flip. Maybe I should do, and they're so lost.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that I bring to the table is I really help, narrow that down and customize it to how it fits them.
Yeah.
These one size fits all things, it really doesn't exist.
Well, and a lot of people, when they think about the idea of real estate investing, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to be a landlord and I'm going to be getting calls in the middle of the night and I don't know how to fix toilets. And oh my God, right? Some people don't even realize, or they might be aware of like a fix and flip, right? Or, well, I can't do that. I'm not handy. And so they just discount the whole industry. It's like, there's just so much more to it than that.
There is a lot more to it than that. And here comes the education side of it. If you're managing your own properties, then you're not a proper investor. You just have another job.
Yeah,
You just
that's for
have
sure.
another job for yourself.
So
So
what's your process when you sit down with somebody? How do you help them to navigate all these many different styles of real estate investing?
yeah, so I like to think of it as being, nobody's a superhero here, right? If you think of Batman, Batman is not a superhero, but he has a lot of tools in his pockets, right? A lot of fancy cars, helicopters, you name it. And he can afford all that because he owns most of Gotham. He owns real estate, right? If you just
Yeah.
think about that for a second. And so he has the money that gives him the tools. Okay, so that's what I like to give my clients, and I navigate it for them they're Google tubing. I just narrow it down. They tell me what they've seen, what they desire, and then I customize it for them. And I give them all the tools, the Batman tools, if you will, so that they can close on real estate to their desire. So let me give you an example to really clarify that.
Okay.
So a lot of people come to me because they're like, wholesale, I'm going to wholesale. And I'm like, I really don't want to wholesale. So I give them the plan and like, wow, I don't have to wholesale. And so maybe they'll bang out 2 or 3 wholesales because they wanted to create some cash, they want to pay off some bills, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you don't have to wholesale. When I show them the plan of building wealth and securing their future, they're like, I want that plan. Paying less in taxes. You're like, who doesn't want that?
Right. Oh my gosh.
So I guess
Joanne, oh, sorry.
that's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, how did you first get started doing this?
So I first got started in doing this. My first property I bought at 26 years old.
Wow.
And I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't come from the real estate background. I don't have a wealthy background. My parents barely made it. And they rented my entire life. They didn't own anything. And so I was renting a property and we got a knock on the door. And the gal was the daughter of our landlord. And she says, my mom had a stroke and she needs to sell off some of her inventory. And we were tenants, so we got first rights to purchase it. And so we did. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I called my friend down the street. I'm like, what do I do? Because she was a mortgage lender. And she goes, she walked me through it. I said, you did what? You made how much? And can you teach me?
Right. What an
And
opportunity, huh?
right.
Fantastic. Wow.
So and then I take, hindsight's 2020. And so I take that story and I take it as a wealth plan. My landlord had been living off of her inventory of real estate through the cash flow. And when she had an emergency, she sold off some of her inventory to pay for her specialized care.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's genius. And that's what I like to teach my clients to have.
Yeah.
Because insurance, Medi-Cal, you name it, they're not going to give you half the specialty service that you'll need in any kind of an emergency.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's fantastic. And from there, right, you were just off and running.
Exactly. And then It's a wealth plan. So real estate to me is a vehicle for a wealth plan and to pay less in taxes.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, that is true. Fantastic. All right, awesome. So now how do you, when you work with people, what's the process? I mean, how do you so I know you have, it's too bad that you are just starting, I think this week you just started your 5-day challenge. What did people miss by missing that?
Yes, absolutely. So, even though it's in a group setting, I give you choices to make according to different ways to get started in real estate investing. The choices are made by your lifestyle and your desire. And I think that's what's missing in the world is we get to do what we desire, right? And it's hard for us to go find if we're Google tubing. But if someone sits down with us and gives us a customized plan to retire when we desire, and then reverse engineers it to today and how to start step by step, each milestone to get there, that is the magic sauce right there. And they love it. They absolutely love it. They're like, nobody has even come close to helping me like you've helped me. I paid $40,000 for a real estate program and you gave me all this for free, and they're just like blown away at how much they get and the customized plan to where they understand it. So it's pretty remarkable. And I didn't intend to have the 5-day challenge be that people will be getting into contract by day 5. However, Nino, one of my star students, by day 5, at the end of the challenge, got into contract in a past challenge that we did. And now it's become the thing. The last challenge was 5 people in contract.
Wow.
So I can't wait to see. I mean, we're starting here on the challenge. I can't wait to see how many people are going through the challenge, who's going to actually get into contract, because it's pretty easy to do once you have the steps.
Yeah. And I think that personal touch is what's missing, right? Because if you're just trying to sell, or tell one type of real estate investing, there are a lot of people who aren't going to fit into that box and they're just going to leave frustrated. And even if you want to do the same type of real estate investing, you're not all starting at the same place. So bringing it back to today, and this is how we're going to help you today. So since people missed the 5-day challenge, what's their next opportunity to work with you?
Yes, absolutely. So I do have a boot camp coming up where it's just a couple of days of really deep diving, talking to sellers, making offers, like experiencing real estate. Because to me, that's the only way anyone's really going to learn is by experience. That's how we learned how to tie our shoes.
Right.
Right? We had to experience.
Can't learn that on YouTube.
Years,
Well, maybe you can. It's a lot easier though when someone tells you.
Right. But I mean, like, so let's just take that as a silly example. If you go on YouTube and you've never tied shoes before, you're like, bunny ears, what? And you go to do it, you're like, what? And it's confusing
Yeah.
when you first do it, really.
Yeah.
For me, it was. And I'm like, bunny ears? Who does bunny ears? There I got a tied shoe. I'm like, super. But I had to experience that to know it worked. Excuse me. It wasn't just watching it and knowing that I could do it. It took some effort to know how to do it. It takes kids effort to learn how to walk. Same thing with real estate, you know?
And it's fantastic that they have you there to help them through that process.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. So what kind of advice would you give to somebody who was just thinking about, like you say, they're Google tubing, they're out there, they're like sitting around there, they know that they want to do something. They know that they're interested in real estate. I hear people say that all the time. Oh, I love real estate. I'm always looking online at different houses and stuff. I love to go to open houses, but they didn't actually pull the trigger. So what kind of advice would you give to them to sort of take a next step in their comfort level?
Absolutely. So I would say, if not my challenge or my boot camp, which is pretty awesome, and not just because it's me, but I see the students' success. That's what's awesome. Experience it. And don't experience it at the school of hard knocks. Experience it with a mentor, someone that can walk you through it. Because I'm on forums, like I said, I network all the time online. And I read forums all the time. And one was, oh my God, I did my first fix and flip all by myself. I didn't need a mentor. And I'm reading, I'm like, good for her. She did it, right? I only lost $31,000.
Oh, ouch. Oops.
I'm
Yeah.
like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
So you're either going to pay the school of hard knocks or you're going to pay a mentor
Yeah.
because you don't want to do it alone. She's lucky she only lost $31,000 and there was no legal recourse. So yeah,
There's so many things that you don't know, So
exactly.
many things. Yeah. Ouch. That's too bad. God, I hate to hear stories like that.
Yeah.
You could
Me,
have hired somebody to, spend the whole time with her, and probably hired some contractors for that, a mentor, contractor. She would have had a lot easier experience and it would have been a lot cheaper.
yeah, I think that's the thing I hear a lot of is I'm gonna do it myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it myself. And that's why a lot of people quit because they did it themselves. They don't have a property manager, they don't have a contractor, they don't have the education to know the right numbers that they bought correctly. That's number
Right.
one.
Right.
Because you make
Exactly.
your money when you buy, not when you sell.
Exactly. Yeah. No
Yeah,
one's just because you paid too much, not necessarily mean somebody else is going to pay you too much. As
exactly.
that poor woman found out, right?
Yeah, and actually, let me give you a quick example of one of my students got really mad at me because I wouldn't let her buy this property. It had to be at a certain price. She goes, but Joanna, and then she listened regretfully of rah, 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 for 6 months, right? She's like rah, 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 rah. And the people that bought it incorrectly. They paid too much money for it and they never finished it. The electrical was through the roof, put them under the table because they didn't realize what they were getting into.
Yep.
And she's like, thank you, Joanna, for not letting me buy that property.
I know, but it's hard because, right, that what you're saying without saying is that she'd fallen in love with that idea, fallen in love with that property. This is the one for me, blah blah blah. And right, we good investors know you can't do that, right? You can't fall in love with it. This is a business transaction. If it's not this one, it's going to be another one, but the numbers have to work. And yeah, exactly. Like here's all the reasons that you can't buy this house. Like, no, but this is the one. It's the only one I'm ever going to find, right? It's so great. And like, oh, stop.
They get frustrated because they can't find a deal fast enough. And they're like, well, I just want a deal. And so they get emotionally involved and like, I just want to close on a deal. Well, you don't just want to lose money. You don't want legalities. You don't want. So to
Is
be
that
patient
really
with
the goal?
yourself.
Just to
Yeah.
close on the deal?
They want to be the investor, so have patience with yourself and grace that you're getting educated and doing the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I understand that you have 3 tips for wealth for people as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the 3 tips to wealth, I have a full cycle that I take my clients through. It's actually 9 different steps, but the 3 tips that I'm going to give you are, first of all, to be an entrepreneur. Okay, this is all the wealth side of this, not real estate entirely, but real estate has 90% to do with it. Okay. Um, but being an entrepreneur is number one. And a lot of people think they're going to get into business by themselves and just be, I'm in business, I'm an entrepreneur. They're missing the other side of that, which is having assets. Okay. So being an entrepreneur is number one. If you read tax law, like I have, and I've trained on it. Yes, I'm a tax geek. But if you read the law, it's actually written for you. Okay. And being an entrepreneur and having real estate assets is the secret sauce to saving on taxes. Okay. So my 3 tips is entrepreneur, being an entrepreneur. If you're not, if you're W-2, get a side hustle. You're paying way too much in taxes right now. Tip number 2, real estate assets. This is what my CPA tells me is to hold at least 1 property a year. Doesn't matter what the size of my portfolio is, hold at least 1 property a year. Okay. I'm buying and selling all the time.
Yeah.
And the third tip is is insurance, believe it or not, but it's how to actually safeguard everything that you're doing and to pay next to zero in taxes. So those all together is how the rich get richer. We always bitch about how the rich get and the poor get poor. And it's only because they read tax law or paid someone to read it. And they're going through all the loopholes that the IRS has left. The IRS wants you to own real estate because it builds community.
Yeah.
It takes care of the community. So they give you huge tax incentives to hold real estate. So why wouldn't you?
Right. Exactly. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully that's helpful for you guys. A little bit
Oh,
of
that's
value to
fantastic.
take home, a little nugget to chew on.
Excellent. Joanna, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking with you. Any last parting remarks, or is there any question you wish I would have asked you that I just failed to ask?
Why do I do what I do?
Oh, that's a great question. Why do you do what you do, Joanna?
So a lot of people want to see change in the world. And I am being the change that I want to see in the world. I come from nothing. I lost everything in 2008. I was in a horrible relationship and I was stuck in that relationship because of not being financially stable. And so where the shift came in my head was, if I had had my own resources, my own money, my own life, I would have never stayed stuck in that relationship. Okay. And that's what I want to help women rise, to be able to stay with their loved one because they love them, not because they're financially dependent on them.
Right.
So when couples come in to my program, I literally set them both down and say, I want you each independently wealthy of each other. And they have each other. Right. And that makes the tit for tat less. And they get to build wealth together.
Yeah.
And so that's change that I want to see in the world, is to let women be secure in their future financially so that they can go follow their passions and make decisions from the left side of the menu instead of the right side of the menu.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
that's beautiful. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you asked me to ask you that question. Excellent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know I've never wanted to be nice to somebody just to keep a roof over my head. So that's
Right?
why I'm an entrepreneur.
Exactly. We all have something a fire under us that drives us, and that's mine is to create our own economic independence. I don't care who you are. Everyone should have their own economic independence, so they could do what they want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely true. Thank you so much for being with us today. Joanna, tell people how they can reach you and sign up for your boot
Absolutely.
camp and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. You can head to www.bottomlinewealth.net. That's bottomlinewealth.net. And you'll see everything there at my website. And you could also reach me through Joanna at bottomlinewealth.net, my email.
Excellent. And we'll put those links in the show notes for you so you don't have to try to write it down as you're driving down the street. Now, think about how many people you know who have been kicking this idea down the road, kicking this can down the road for a long time. Forward this episode to them. You'll be doing them a huge favor. They will thank you for it. And thank you, Joanna, so much for being with us today. You've shared such great wealth of wisdom with us that will hopefully translate to actual financial wealth to the people listening.
Absolutely. Glad to provide value. Thank you so much for having me.